was Thanksgiving 1979. But the Chicago Bears have a proud holiday tradition. A year ago, Vince Evans tied the Lions on the last play of regulation, and Dave Williams took it from there.
Fielded by Williams at the 5. Williams breaks out of the pack. Dave Williams to the 30. Touchdown, Chicago. They win it on the kickoff after overtime.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and welcome to the NFL Today. Phyllis and I are holding forth here in New York this afternoon.
It's a nippy day here in New York. By the way, you're a veteran. NFL, Today, Thanksgiving, 7 years you've been doing this show.
I sort of miss not being in Dallas or Detroit today.
But today in Dallas, it's beautiful, a clear 70 degrees, and Jimmy and Irv, our cohorts, are down there enjoying every minute of it for this exciting game this afternoon. We hope exciting.
Phyllis, you know, Thanksgiving, of course, is a traditional football feast, and not just in Detroit, which I mentioned, where the Lions are beating the Kansas City Chiefs this afternoon, and now about to start in Dallas, where the Cowboys are getting ready to play the Chicago Bears. But this is a day for high school matchups, none more traditional than in a small town in Massachusetts.
To me, my father played. He went to Needham High School. He played here. All my brothers played in this game.
This is probably the most important game I'll ever play in high school. You know, 100 years of rivalry and tradition.
Yeah, it makes the season to win this one. Makes it a good Thanksgiving.
It really is wonderful to be here and to see such an enthusiastic crowd, and I can assure you we are ready and we'll be out there tomorrow to defeat Needham, no problem.
It's a Thanksgiving Day battle that began a century ago when Wellesley, which had been part of Needham, became a separate town and challenged its new neighbor to a friendly game of football. The Red Raiders of Wellesley won that one 4-0, the rules being a bit different then, but the rivalry was born.
What's the word for today? Again? When Needham plays Wellesley, it's not one team against the other, but it's one whole town against the other town.
Everybody just gets so psyched and everything during the football game.
Yeah, we got to come back and win this one. It's the last one. You got to do it.
We're going to win.
And there's just a little extra at stake this year. You see, they rechecked the records 2 days ago and discovered the series was tied. 42 wins for Needham, 42 wins for Wellesley, and 9 ties.
We look forward to beating the dickens out of Needham every year. We're downhearted for about 2 hours if we don't, but we like Needham. They're our kind of people.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Honeywell Field in Wellesley.
9,000 people turned out on a beautiful Thanksgiving morning in New England. A little cold on the sideline, but things warmed up as the team settled down to a defensive battle, scoreless after 3 quarters, and the coaches getting nervous.
I'm hoping 18 is going to come down on him. And...
Hey, look at you, got to let it invert in that situation.
Then the drama. 4th quarter, Wellesley senior quarterback Rick Nickerson rolls left, heads upfield. He has a hole, and he gets into the end zone for the first time, and as it turns out, the only time. Wellesley wins 6-0 and breaks the tie in the country's oldest high school football rivalry.
Their game was a hell of a football game, and I'm going to, enjoy my turkey. Coach McDermott's
Best of luck to you and your family, Tommy. Thank you a million. What can I say? I feel wonderful.
Brett, there's so much spirit and enthusiasm in high school football. It's so much fun to watch. I get great pleasure out of that.
You know, there's a little high school up in Connecticut that I promised to mention this year if they turned their season around. Weston, Connecticut went from 1-9 to 7-2, so congratulations to the Trojans. Now, 2 men hope to add their own special touches to today's Bears-Cowboy matchup. What could be more in the holiday spirit than a little turkey, some stuffing, piece of mince pie, all topped off by a taste of Tony Dorsett and Walter Payton. This year, Payton is the loneliest of stars, while Dorsett has turned into the darling of the Dallas fans. This today figures to be a matchup of 2 teams headed in opposite directions, led by 2 men in perpetual motion. been grounded for much of the year. Dorsett, though, has been free to roam. Peyton is struggling to reach the 1,000-yard mark. Dorsett is over 1,200 yards and near his best. Both men want their turkey day to end the right way. Phyllis, the two great ones are standing by right now with Irv Cross in Dallas, and so let's go to Irv live with Dorsett and Peyton. Irv?
Thanks very much, Brett, and happy Thanksgiving, by the way, too. And boy, I tell you, I feel like a rock standing between two gyms here. But Walter, you know, there's an old adage in professional football that when you play a ball game, you look at the game's film, you learn as much as you can from it, and forget about it. What can you learn from your game film in Detroit when you only gain 24 yards of total yardage?
Well, you have to look at your mistakes, and what you try to do is not make the same mistakes and make them consistent. And I think that's the only thing that you can gain for that. You try to get it out of your mind, and you get ready for the next game. Unfortunately, we only had a couple of days before we got ready to play one of the best teams in the NFL, Dallas, but I think we prepared well enough.
Walter, you told me earlier, of course, you're the defending National Football Conference rushing champion. You thought you might have a word or two to say to this young man, am I right?
I want to congratulate him on having such a terrific year, and that I hope that he understands where his power and all his fame is coming from, and that's the guy upstairs.
Very nice. You know, Tony, Al Levan, a running back coach here, told me that you are seeing more of the field this year than you ever have before. You've always been a great runner. What are you doing now to make you even a better runner?
Well, I think at this point in my career, what I've did is applied myself a little more mentally, and I think a much knowledgeable ball player as far as our offense is concerned. So I think that helps me a great deal.
Helps you a great deal. Walter Payton and Tony Dorsett, two of the real diamonds in the National Football League, getting their power from above. Brent?
Thank you very much, Irv. I just hope Peyton and the Bears can stay close in this one, Phyllis, going into the second half.
Those two men are great runners. I've had the opportunity to interview them both, as you know, and I'm impressed with both of them, but I think Dorsett is really the outstanding runner. Nothing against Peyton. He's not mashed potatoes, as they say on Thanksgiving Day.
Both of them are going to put burdens on the defense, one player in particular. Phyllis will be back to talk about him as the NFL Today continues on CBS in just a moment.
If ever a picture of what it takes to play pro football existed, it would be framed in the body of Charlie Waters. For 11 years, Waters has patrolled the Dallas secondary, and during that time, he has lived up to many a famous man's words.
He has made so many comebacks, and people look at this and say, my goodness, you know, this guy, by right, shouldn't even be out here. And here he is, intercepting footballs, directing our defenses, so he has tremendous respect from all the players.
He's been through more knee operations and arm operations, has come back more than anybody I know to perform really well.
It really worries you when you watch your husband out there and you see people trying to go for their legs or pile up on them and they don't get up.
Many have played this great game, but only one man, number 41, Charlie Waters, is worthy of such praise and description. This is the 11th and final year for the man who has played simply because of the lure of the game. He has given his body and soul to the sport he loves, and in 1973, he paid his dues while playing cornerback when Ram Harold Jackson beat him 4 times in 1/2 for touchdowns. But as he would time and again, number 41 came back and twice earned all-pro honors at safety. He has been battered and bruised, having suffered through 2 knee operations, a broken arm, and a separated shoulder along the way. This, then, is the story of a man who now must rely on one healthy leg, his instincts, and courage.
I have to plan what I'm going to do. If I take the wrong step, my leg will collapse. It collapsed on me 7 times last year during the season. I played last year with the ligament torn. We were supposed to have repaired that ligament, but I'm still very conscious of it. You know, I'm not the star anymore. You know, I'm just out there holding it together.
I'm too old to play this game. Don't even worry about that, Slick. You're antique.
The reason why I came back this year, I had an operation in '79 and missed the season. I came back and played a year last year and had to have another operation. But I feel like our team has a chance to win the Super Bowl. That drive inside of me is saying, hey, try to be a part of that one more time. and it's worth the pain, the misery that your family has to sacrifice, but it's worth it to take that chance to be able to get to the Super Bowl one more time and finish your career with a Super Bowl victory.
I am looking forward to when Charlie leaves the game and retires. Every good thing must come to an end, and I'm ready for the next good thing, you know, and I'm ready for him. I guess I'm just tired of thinking maybe he might get hurt again.
Once it's behind me, it's going to be behind me. You know, I'm going to wring that towel completely out. You know, I'm going to ride the wave until it's, until I have to fall off of it.
Brent Rosie, his wife, is a friend of mine, and I would imagine what she just said is what every wife must feel when her husband's out there playing.
I would agree with that, Phyllis. We have a final score out of Detroit. The Lions won again today. They beat Kansas City 27-10. The Lions' record on the year is now 7-6. They are only a half game behind Minnesota in the NFC Central. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs were a bit of a surprise this year. They've had an excellent season. Well, their record is 8-5. They trailed Denver by a half game. There is a legend involved in this matchup today. The legend. Back with that as the NFL Today continues on CBS in just a moment. Legends of the game, and what better a man for Jack Whitaker and all football fans to pay thanks to on this day than the old Papa Bear himself, George Halas.
On the corner of East Jackson Boulevard and Wabash Avenue in downtown Chicago, in a spacious 12th floor office adorned with 6 decades of pro football memorabilia, sits the NFL's founding father, Papa Bear George Halas. What Ford was to automobiles and Rockefeller was to oil, George Halas was to pro football. As one of the original Chicago Bears, Halas not only coached the team, but also organized the league they played in. This was pro football in its infancy, a game played largely by ex-college stars who rarely gave their correct names. It was not considered an honorable profession. All that changed, however, in 1925, the year Halas signed a college football legend named Red Grange.
He is the eternal light as far as a professional football is concerned, and he did a great job for the National Football League.
In other words, people came out to see him and therefore saw professional football?
That is correct, Jack. And that went throughout the country. And we played New York, and we had 75,000 people, 10,000 more than the Army Navy did the week before. So that gave you an idea of what a great drawing card Red Grange.
And must have given you some hope for professional football.
There's no question about it. That was a turning point.
As pro football grew and prospered, Halas's Monsters of the Midway became the game's feature attraction. At no time was their prowess more evident than in the 1940 NFL championship game when they buried the Washington Redskins 73-0. Halas coached some of the finest players in NFL history. And from the Galloping Ghost to the Kansas Comet, they all sang Papa Bear's praises.
Everything I have today, all my possessions, I owe to one man. That's George Halas. He's a very, very warm person. And you can't help but like George Halas. I love George Halas.
To those whose lives he touched, Papa Bear George Halas was indeed very special. His career spans the entire history of the professional game. He won his first NFL title in 1921 under President Woodrow Wilson. He won his last in 1963 under Lyndon B. Johnson. And he cherishes every moment in between.
Of all the great events in your professional life, Mr. Halas, what's your fondest remembrance in professional football?
Oh, that's easy. Just being a part of the growth of the National Football League. That, to me, is the greatest thrill or event in my life.
George Halas, the winningest football coach of all time. A man who devoted his life to the Chicago Bears and the game he loved. Said the late Vince Lombardi, there is only one man I embrace when we meet, and only one I call coach.
Well, most of us have been looking forward now to a long holiday weekend. Our Jimmy the Greek has been hard at work all week long. Now, he tells us the Chicago Bears' Thanksgiving Day appearances date all the way back to the 20s. But in recent years, it's been the Cowboys who've established a Turkey Day tradition.
No, this isn't Texas Stadium. This isn't where the Dallas Cowboys play. It's the famous Cotton Bowl. But it was here that tradition on Thanksgiving Day began for the Dallas Cowboys in 1966. It was their first time on national television, and they were also playing for their first division title against the Cleveland Browns that day.
Those days, Detroit had been playing a Thanksgiving Day game for many, many years, back to the 30s. It was a very traditional thing, but it was a game that started in the morning in Detroit. And so I assume the networks came to the commissioner, Pete Rozelle, and said, you know, we'd like to have 2 games on Thanksgiving, one to follow the Detroit game. So the commissioner came to me and said, how about the Cowboys? Would you be interested? Well, we hadn't been on national television in those days, and that sounded very, very interesting.
It was a terrific game that day. Don Meredith started at quarterback. Don Perkins ran for over 100 yards. Danny Reeves caught a touchdown pass. And Bob Lilly was absolutely awesome on defense.
The 66 game was big just because it meant so much to us. But I think if you go to the 1974 game, where some of our reserves or backup people came into play. In 1974, Clint Longley came off the bench. Roger Staubach was hurt and threw 2 touchdown passes, and we beat Washington 24-23. I think everybody remembers that game. In 78, Scott Laidlaw came off the bench. Actually, Newhouse had been hurt the week before. He came off and gained 135 or 140 yards in that game, and we won. So it's been great for us to play on Thursday, and I think one of the reasons is because we've had some backup people that were able to come in and play on short notice.
No question about it. The Thanksgiving Day tradition has been super for the Dallas Cowboys in more ways than one. Because since 1966, after the Thanksgiving Day game, the Cowboys get 10 days rest. And you know what has transpired since then? They have won 31 out of 38 games, which has made them practically unbeatable down the stretch. And the kids just love that rest.
Jimmy is standing by live right now at Texas Stadium. Jimmy, any chance the Chicago Bears can stay with the Cowboys on this Thanksgiving afternoon?
Brent, there isn't any doubt about it. The Bears have their work cut out for them, but let's not forget they don't have anything to worry about anymore. They can go out there nice and loose. But the Cowboys are at home. And, of course, the advantage of being at home with only 2 days to practice is a bigger thing than anything else. Now, the Bears, on the other hand, have one intangible thing going for them that's really in their favor. Madden and Pat Summerall are doing the game, and they have done the 3 games that the Dallas Cowboys have lost. So there's a chance for the Bears.
Jimmy, thank you so much. And the NFL Today continues on CBS in just a moment.
There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some are gone and some remain. All these places had their meaning.
A fabulous career. Closing out on Thanksgiving today for Chicago, Alan Page. For Phyllis, I'm Brent Musburger. We'll see you at halftime as the NFL Today continues on CBS. Have a nice afternoon, everybody.
Tonight at 10:30.
Thanksgiving Day football. Remember 1962, Roger Brown and his Detroit teammates made stuffing of Bart Starr, sacking him 11 times. The Lions upset the world champion Packers 26-14. Thanksgiving Day 1976, O.J. Simpson with the greatest single game of his brilliant career and the second greatest rushing day in NFL history. 273 yards. 2 years ago, Earl Campbell tormented the Dallas defense with 195 yards on the ground. This was the last time the Cowboys lost a regular season game here in Texas Stadium. Thanksgiving Day 1 year ago, Chicago and Detroit tied 17-17. This was the opening kickoff of the overtime period. Chicago's Dave Williams receives at his own 5-yard line, and he goes 95 yards for the winning score. The Bears hope for a similar result this afternoon against the Cowboys.
CBS Sports presents the National Football League. Today, the Chicago Bears versus the Dallas Cowboys.
Texas Thanksgiving afternoon as Texas Stadium is sold out for the 41st consecutive time for the match between the Bears and the Cowboys. The NFC's Eastern Division standings: Dallas 9-3, Philadelphia 9-3, followed by the Giants at 6-6. Good afternoon. I'm sure by now you've been wished a happy Thanksgiving, but we'd like to add our wishes to that too. I'm Pat Summerall. This is John Madden. And Coach, you're playing against the Chicago Bears, who are 3-9. How do you hang your hat on some way to get your team up?
Well, you know, it was interesting. Randy White yesterday was saying that Tom Landry this week has talked more about Walter Payton than he has any other player that the Cowboys have played this year. So I think Walter Payton's going to draw an awful lot of attention. You know, it's tough enough in this league, but when you have 11 of those white jerseys watching you on every move, that can draw a crowd.
One thing about playing on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, as the Cowboys have done traditionally for the last few years, it's a short week of preparation. How does that affect you?
It's something that the coaches hate before the game, and if you win the game, you love it after because you get the 10 days to get rested and ready for the next game. And Tom Landry's no different. Tom Landry says, boy, it's tough to get ready for Thanksgiving. We only had 2 days. And then Danny White, his quarterback, says, I love it. You know why? We have a short little game plan, just the stuff we're going to do, and it's a lot easier for the players. So let's kick this thing off.
And it'll be Raphael Septien to kick it off as the Bears won the toss, and they'll get the football first. Thanksgiving Day in Dallas. Cowboys 9-3. The Bears at the other end of that spectrum, 3-9. Raphael Septien, number 1. Emery Moorhead back deep for Chicago. Good kick. Moorhead at the 1. Outside the 20, hit down by Danny Spradlin. Here's the Bear offense. First of all, quarterback Vince Evans, Walter Payton and Matt Suhey, the runners. Ricky Watts and Brian Bashnagel, the 2 wide receivers. Robin Earl is the tight end. Albrecht Jackson, Neal, Emmanuel Sanders, and Keith Van Horn. Temperature game time 62 degrees. Sellout crowd, as I mentioned just a minute ago, and just a perfect day for football. Dallas goes immediately into that flex defense. Payton first to carry, and Payton breaks out of the pack out to about the 30, running hard. Here's the Dallas defense. First of all, the front 4. Ed Jones and Harvey Martin, the 2 ends. John Dutton and Randy White, the tackles. The linebackers, Hegman, Brunig in the middle, and D.D. Lewis. And finally, the young secondary, Walls, Thurman, Waters, and Mike Downs. Second down, Chicago. Payton got 8 on his first carry. 2nd and 2. Payton again. Out to the 45 where Dennis Thurman cracks him out of bounds.
We said they were going to key on Walter Payton, Pat, and they are, but on the 2 plays, he still gained some yardage in there. This time, we'll watch him here. It's a little counter. See, he starts into the right side, cuts back to the left. They get Harvey Martin to go down. See, he thought he was going to the right, cut back against the grain, and you give Walter Payton just a little edge, and he can make something happen. Whew.
Indeed he can. First down, Bears just inside their own 45. Bashnagel swings in motion again. Payton again. Walter Payton underneath everybody for about 4 or 5. Mike Hegman made the tackle. Payton's running well, very well.
You know, last week the Chicago Bears only had 24 yards total offense, and they just about have that much on the first 3 plays. You know, when Irv Cross was talking to Walter Payton down on the sideline before the game and the pregame, couldn't you just feel that he was ready to go?
Sure did get that feeling, and you get that feeling even more now after those first 3 carries. Has not done as well up until now this year, at least. You can see by those figures. There's Payton for the 4th consecutive time. Hit behind the line of scrimmage by D.D. Lewis and taken down by Harvey Martin from the other side finally.
You know, Dallas is not a blitzing team against a run. They use that flex defense, but I think they saw that Walter Payton was getting a little softness in the defense, so they came on a blitz that time, what they call a run blitz, a blitz to stop the run, as different from the pass blitz, which is a blitz to rush the passer, as different from some other kind of blitz.
I understand. 3rd and 6. Walter Payton flanked up to the right side near the offensive right tackle. Evans chased by White, and now Waters hits him. They say his arm had started forward. Benny Barnes came up with the football, but the Bears will have to punt.
Now there was a different type of blitz. That was a safety blitz against the pass. But watch Randy White here, number 54. He comes through. They picked up the blitzers. They didn't pick up Randy White, and he flushed Vince Evans out of the pocket.
Waters was the next man on the scene who hit Evans just as he got rid of the football. Bob Parsons. James Jones back deep for Dallas. Parsons is kicking well in pregame, and he continues that streak. He hits this one. Ball bounces at the 2 and is down by the Bears at about that point. Nagel, I believe, the first man down. 0-0. Dallas will have the football when we come back. There, of course, is Tom Landry checking his own scouting report and ready list. Danny White, the Dallas quarterback, will set that Dallas offense in just a second. They'll set about 5 yards deep in his end zone. Dorsett stopped by Singletary after about a yard. Here's the Dallas offense. Danny White, the quarterback. Dorsett, Springs, Tony Hill, and Drew Pearson. The offensive line, Dupree, the tight end. Donovan, Scott, Rafferty, Peterson, and Jim Cooper, the right tackle. Bear defense, and we'll get into some of the unusual things they do as time allows. Sometimes they play 5 men up front. Sometimes they play only 4. Here's Danny White. That's what he's done so far this year. It's been a good year. 2nd and 10. Ron Springs perhaps lost a yard. Singletary again made the tackle.
That was another one of those run blitzes where Singletary was getting in that strong side off tackle hole to play hard against the run. Here comes that 5 defensive lineman situation we were talking about, Pat.
Why do they do this, John? Well, here's the defense first. Hampton, Osborne, Page, and Harris when they play the 4. The linebackers when they use 3, Wilson, Singletary, and Campbell. And the secondary. Now they have the 5 down linemen. Right to Dorsett, and Dorsett with some running room. Gets outside the 10, shy of a first down, and Danny White will have to stay in and punt. Doug Plank made the stop on Dorsett.
You know, Neil Armstrong was telling us last night that they put that 5 defensive lineman defense in primarily against the pass, and he found out that it's also been good against the run, so they're using it more and more.
Gary Fensick came off holding his shoulder, being looked at over on the sideline. Danny White, in addition to being a fine quarterback, is a fine punter. Jeff Fisher back deep for the Bears. White hits it. Fisher all the way back to his 34. Trying to set up a return, trying to get to the outside, knocked out of bounds. Steve Wright belted him out of bounds. So after an exchange of punts, there is still no score between the Bears and the Cowboys. First quarter in Dallas. Pat Summerall with John Madden watching the Bears' second possession now. Ball at their own 44. Cowboys flex. on the left side. The Cowboy defense. Well, just take a look at this. Those are the team defensive rankings. And look how far down we go before we get to Dallas. And yet they're tied for first place. Dallas, number 25.
But there's one more statistic, and it's right here. The turnover ratio, I've always felt, is the most important statistic there is, and they're number 1 in that category, and that's why they're in first place or tied for first place in the NFC Eastern Division.
Here was Peyton again, and let's take another look at that. Peyton on the ground directing traffic at the moment.
Here it is again. You know, and look at all these teams. There's 5 teams there. Dallas leads. Are tied with Cincinnati, both with plus 15. But of these 5 teams, 4 of them are leading or tied for their division.
And the Buccaneers only a game back.
They're all playoff contenders.
Third down for Chicago and 5. 49. And 7. Ball batted away at the last second by Charlie Waters. Ricky Watts, the intended receiver, but Waters, with that last second dive, knocked it away.
It was interesting what Charlie had to say in that interview before the game. He said, I really don't star in this defense. I just help hold it together. And he makes more plays maybe than he takes credit for, and that's one of them. But he's becoming a big pass rusher, a big blitzing safety now.
James Jones back deep for the Cowboys. Bob Parsons will punt to Chicago. Another good punt by Parsons. Jones is going to let it fly, and again it bounces backwards. And the Cowboys this time will operate from their 8-yard line as Harris downs it. Down very quickly as the defensive end. So still no score at Texas Stadium. The Bears and the Cowboys. A couple of outstanding punts by Bob Parsons.
He's had 2 great punts. You know, when you punt and you want the ball to continue going, to turn over, you want it to turn over to hit, and then the momentum takes it into the end zone. When you don't want it, you put it where it doesn't turn over and it hits and stops right there. And Bob Parsons has done that 2 times.
This one goes all the way back to about the 10-yard line. Here's Dorsett again, cutting back against the grain and struggling to get to the outside. He does. Dorsett for about 9. Otis Wilson took him out of bounds, but Tony continues to have an outstanding year.
He is really something. You know, he only weighs 185 pounds, and he says, if I let those guys get their hands on me, he said, I don't have a chance. He said, I have to set them up, hold them, get them flat-footed, and then outrun them. And he really does that, doesn't he?
So very quick, and getting those hands on him, easier said than done. 9 yards for Dorsett, 2nd and 1. Very quiet, sort of subdued at the moment. Full of turkey, I imagine. Jay Salvi in motion, and here's White. For Dupree down the middle. Billy Joe Dupree to the 40. First down, Cowboys. Reuben Henderson made the tackle. But Dallas moves upfield.
That's right where Danny White wanted to hit. The Bears are in a zone defense, and we see it again. He hits it right over the linebacker. We'll see Mike Singletary there. See, it's over his head. Between the linebackers and the safety, we see Fensick right there. That's Doug Plank. That's where you want to hit. You know, and you know they talk about layers between the linebacker, the layer of the linebacker, and the layer of the secondary.
Good throw from White. First down, Dallas. Their own 40. 8:10 left in the first quarter. Here is Ron Springs over the left side. Nothing doing. Mike Singletary again.
Ron Springs had his biggest day last week. He gained 85 yards, and that's been the most yardage that he's gained as a Cowboy. And he said he's finally making the adjustment. He'd always been a halfback or tailback before, and you usually run the ball, and fullback is primarily a blocker, and he's made the adjustment well.
And he has that, or gives the Cowboys that added dimension of being a fine pass receiver. 2nd and 10. There's fake a blitz. Here's Dorsett. Dorsett looking for some place to go. Singletary again led the Bear tacklers.
I'm sure that we were talking about the Cowboys keying on Walter Payton. And I'm sure that the Bears are keying on this man right here, Tony Dorsett. Wherever he goes, especially on first and second down, he's going to draw a crowd. Now we see Singletary come off, the rookie, and we see the 5 defensive linemen and 5 defensive backs in the game.
Mike Hartenstein lines up as the right defensive end. Harris is the left. Todd Bell, the extra defensive back. Harris moving inside. Now sometimes he backs off in pass coverage. He does it there. Right. Pass is caught by Tony Hill. What a throw and what a catch.
Look at Tony Hill there. He's upset. He thought he had a touchdown there. He wanted to score. We'll see a shoving match. That's Reuben Henderson, number 20, the rookie with him. They're going stride for stride. A great throw by Danny White and a great catch by Tony Hill. And you can see why Tony Hill was upset, because Henderson just flicked his ankle to get him down. It would have been a touchdown.
All the way down to the 17-yard line of Chicago. Cowboys on the move. No scores yet. But Dallas getting closer and closer. A reverse to Hill. Shakes away from one tackler. Now looking for some other place to go. Finally, he gets back to the 20-yard line. And again, Mike Singletary made the tackle.
And one thing about these Cowboy receivers, they can all, of course, get open and catch the ball, but they're very good at running with it after they catch it and running reverses. We just saw Tony Hill. Last week, Drew Pearson ran a reverse, and of course, they always have Butch Johnson over there that can make something happen. Plus his quake.
When he scores a touchdown, he'll show you some moves.
Yeah, I love that. We need excitement in this game.
2nd and 13. Ball back at the 20. Dorsett deep in the eye. Handoff Dorsett, who blasts down to the 15. Again, it's Singletary and Osborne who stopped Tony.
Hey, one thing, early in the first quarter of a football game, the running is never as successful as it will be later in the third and fourth quarters, because you tend to wear a defense down. You get them just a half a step slower, then Dorsett breaks those type of runs.
Number 82, of course, is Alan Page. The last year of his great career. Here's the shotgun formation on 3rd down and 8 for Dallas. Struggles for his life. Alan Page is the man who's there first. And Hampton second.
You were just talking about Alan Page there, and he switched from the right side to the left side, and he made a nice move to get by. He got by Kurt Peterson there, it looked like. See if we can see it. You see, he says now he comes. It was a stunt move. He started. Hampton went to the inside. Number 82 there, Alan Page. He started to the outside, went around the tackle. It wasn't Peterson, it was Jim Cooper, and he got in and got Danny White before he could throw the ball.
15 years, a defensive tackle.
Be a lawyer next year.
41 yards away with number 41 holding is Raphael Septien. Speaking of having good years, Septien is having a dandy as well. And so Dallas gets on the scoreboard first. That field goal from 41 yards out by Raphael Septien makes it 3-0. In addition to leading the NFC in scoring, Raphael Septien just set a new Cowboy record for the most field goals in one season and tied the all-time club record, which had been held by Mike Clark. Good kickoff again. Moorhead comes out of the end zone. It's outside the 15 to about the 16, where Steve Wilson takes him down. Angelo King down there to help out. First down, Bears. Their own 16-yard line.
Now we see how that field possession turns around. The Cowboys started twice inside their own 10. They were able, with a couple big plays, to get out, get a field goal, and now the Bears have the bad field position.
From their own 16, 1st and 10, Chicago. Nagel again goes in motion. And Payton goes the other way. Walter Payton does get around the corner. Was knocked out of bounds by Michael Downs, but he got good yardage. Good block by Matsui in front of him. Walter Payton obviously has been most of the Bear offense so far. 2nd and 4. Ball out to 23 now. 3:50 left to play in the first quarter. Dallas leading 3-0. Payton again. Picked up by Mike Hegman.
You know, it's interesting what they're trying to do. It seems like just about every offensive play that the Bears have had, they've run Walter Payton, and they're working inside. It looks like what they're doing is working at the flex defensive lineman in there. But eventually and ultimately, if they're going to move the ball, they're going to have to pass it.
The flex defensive lineman being the one that's off the line of scrimmage.
Right, and in the Cowboys scheme against the run, they'll have 2 on the line of scrimmage and 2 off the line of scrimmage.
This time, short yardage, everybody's up. Payton again. And Payton, with that surge, almost broke out of the pack. Steve Wilson made the hit.
You know, when you see a Walter Payton like this, and we'll see it again, the biggest thing, you see how he's starting from the I formation, his shoulders going into the line are square. So now he has great vision. He can see the holes. And then he can just make that little veer to the left to get in and make that first down. I think that's a much better formation for the Bears and Walter Payton than split backs.
9 carries, 45 yards already for Payton. Might break some more records. Evans fakes this time to Payton. Going for Watts. Just overthrow. Dennis Thurman back there. Evans a little disturbed with himself. Michael Downs also back for Dallas.
I don't think Vince Evans should feel bad about that one. He had to do that. You have to loosen up this defense. Once you start and you just run and run and run, the defense tends to bunch up. Now watch this. He really has the safety beat. He has Mike Downs beat. See, the ball is over Downs' head and just about a step too much for Ricky Watts.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 for the Bears. Matsui, the other running back there with Walter Payton, still hasn't carried the ball. Evans will put it up again. Now he has to run. Fumble. Bears have the football, I believe, somewhere at the bottom of that pile.
I think they have it now to the side of the pile. I don't think there's any ball at the bottom of the pile. I think the ball was out here by Noah Jackson. Well, the official has it now. But it looked like it just popped out of that pile right to one of the Bears. I think Noah Jackson ended up with it. We'll see it again. Now, we watch the pass rush here and see Vince Evans is looking to the right. Now he has to put the ball down. Now, that's okay. And just as he started to run, looked like it was knocked out of his hand by Randy White. Now watch it bounce out. Here it'll come. Right there it is. Boom, and the Bears get it.
That's Mike Cobb who wound up with it finally. So it'll be 3rd down Chicago. The Cowboys fake the blitz. They jump offside. Evans with good protection this time. Again going deep for Watts, but penalty markers down all over the place.
I think that was just a practice play, Pat. I think the whistle blew before the ball was snapped, and whatever the penalty is, that play won't count at all. We know what the penalty was. It was illegal motion against the Bears.
There's the rest of the officiating crew.
Delay of the game, offense, number 8, 3rd down.
Oh, they didn't get the ball off in 30 seconds. That's something that over the year Dallas has had some problems with. In fact, they don't keep that statistic, but I would bet that the Cowboys lead the league in that penalty.
I would think so. A minute 45 left in the first quarter. 3-0 Dallas. Again, they fake blitz or still blitz. And it's not a fake. Evans. Everson Walls had a chance for his 11th interception of the year. Couldn't find a handle.
You see who was there? As we see, Everson Walls. Well, if he darn near did have his 11th, but you see who put the pressure on Vince Evans. It was Charlie Waters, who on passing downs is becoming more of a pass rusher than he is a pass defender.
Bob Parsons. That's James Jones back deep for Dallas. Parsons standing back at his own 13-yard line. 1:41 left to play first quarter.
They want to turn this one over now.
He doesn't. Jones on the run. And Jones breaks away from one tackler, but Bashnigo takes him down. Coming up, the NFL today. This is next Sunday. The Rams at Pittsburgh, Washington, Buffalo, Green Bay at Minnesota. Tampa Bay at New Orleans, and St. Louis at New England. And the doubleheader games, the late games, the Giants at San Francisco and the Atlanta Falcons at Houston, where we'll be. Check your local listings.
And with this playoff situation and a wild card, every game is a very meaningful one. Whew.
First down, Dallas. Their own 47. They lose 3-0. Fake to Dorsett outside. It goes to Tony Hill. And Hill gets about 6 out of that hitch pattern. Reuben Henderson made the stop.
This is the one that we were talking about these Cowboy receivers. That they can, of course, run pass patterns deep. They can run reverses and run with the ball. Then they like those little screen or hitch passes out there where they just get them the ball and let them run with it. That time, the screen didn't develop or get out in front of them.
Just over a minute left in the first quarter. Dallas 3, Chicago 0. Doug Crosby is the tight end now on the right side. The pitch is back to Dorsett. Nothing doing. Dorsett did a lot of juking, but Dan Hampton ran him out of bounds.
He's even exciting when he just jukes, isn't he? There's Dan Hampton. Now, there's a big guy from Arkansas. Right. You didn't know him, did you, Nana?
He was a little bit after me.
Well, he was after you. You know what his nickname is? Danster. First name's Dan, you know, after Monster, Manster, Danster.
That's right. There's Dan.
Danster Hampton. See, that's half Dan and half Monster.
And Randy White is, what, Manster?
He's Manster. They'd make good reindeer for Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Well, Donner and Blitzen and Danster and Manster.
3rd and 5. There's White for plenty of time. Down the middle. I believe it's Butch Johnson. Finsick. And now what do they say?
They're saying incomplete. It's going to be interesting. That's that new possession rule that they have. Again, he can't have possession until he has the ball and both feet hit the ground. I would imagine the officials are saying that both feet didn't hit the ground. Butch Johnson is saying, I had it. Butch didn't score on that one, and we'll see what he does. Now watch what Butch does. He calls this the California quake. I love this. Watch these movements. That's the old California quake, and then the Texas 6-shooter, I think.
If he scores today, that's what we'll see. That was last week. White back in punt formation. Good looking high kick. And this one sails on into the end zone. Bounces in there on one hop. Benny Barnes was the first man down there. NCAA basketball. NCAA basketball.
Right.
Michigan at Arkansas or Georgia at San Francisco. Check your local listings for those games. The season premiere coming up this Saturday. NCAA basketball on CBS. Bears take over at their own 20.
Maybe a little first down pass would be nice here.
To the left side, and Walter Payton could be gone. Cuts back inside. Payton still on his feet. Finally taken down by Michael Downs in Dallas territory at their 41.
Did you see that move? I'll tell you, Michael Downs caught him, but he had to catch him because Michael Downs was the guy that missed him on the line of scrimmage. Did he make a move on him? Let's watch it again. Now watch right here. See, Thurman gets blocked. Now watch Downs here. He gets caught flat-footed. Then he makes that move sideways out to the left, and boom, up the field, and he's gone. Look at that. Now, you see how he carries the ball out there? That's okay because there's no one there to tackle him. And to make great moves and have balance, you can't always keep that ball in tight to your body.
That's the end of the first quarter. Payton has huge hands. He can carry the ball like that and be reasonably safe because his hands are so big. That's the end of the first quarter with Dallas leading 3-0. Walter Payton has 10 carries for 84 yards already. We're just starting on the first play of the second quarter.
And the Bears have only had 15 plays, and Walter Payton has carried 10 of them.
Back in the eye, and he carries again. Almost around the corner. Downs hurts him out of bounds this time.
Downs said, "You got me the last play. I'm going to get you this time." Now watch what happened to Downs in the last play. Here he comes over. He says, "I got good position. My arm's out. I just have to wrap my... Oh, I go to... Where is he? There he goes. Out to the left and up the field." He didn't do it the next time, though, did he?
You think he shut his eyes?
I don't know.
I don't know if it would have mattered with a move like that. Second down 8 for Chicago. Cowboys lead 3-0. Evans for Suey. And again, just over his fingertips, Bob Brunig on the coverage.
Well, Vince Evans is, you know, he's had 2 shots so far deep, but he's just been just a little long. And that happens to a quarterback. If you have a little nervousness, you tend to throw the ball long. And, you know, it was interesting. Dennis Thurman, the cornerback for the Cowboys, played at college with Vince Evans, and he says when he gets his confidence, he's really something, but he doesn't look like he has it now.
Well, it'll be third down there. Vince Evans calls the cadence and drops the throw. Evans has a man open.
I'll tell you, he threw that one.
Sorry, John. Brooks Williams is the man who made the catch.
Watch this one. This ball didn't stay in the air very long. You know, there's no way on an out pattern that a quarterback can throw the ball too hard. You want to get it, boom. He sees Williams, zips it right there. That was a perfect pass.
And you can see the concentration from Williams as he watched that ball all the way into his hands. 4-year pro. Marjoram out wide to the right. First down, there's the handoff to Suey. Matt Suey finds a way to get down inside the 20. That's his first carry of the day. It was a good one.
I think now the Bears are starting to get a little mixture, and that's what they need against this Cowboy defense. You have to throw some on first down. You have to run some to Peyton. You have to change up and give it to Suey once in a while so they don't get a true hard read on you.
4 yards for Suey. 2nd and 6. Ball at the 19-yard line. Here's Peyton again. Peyton trying to get to the outside. This time he jumped into the arms of a Cowboy linebacker, I think.
It was Mike Hegman. And again, it was one of those blitzes, a run blitz where they take their outside linebackers, Hegman and D.D. Lewis, and instead of letting them stand outside and read, they bring them tough outside to tackles. I like that kind of talk. Bringing the linebackers tough outside to tackles. Put a helmet on.
Kind of exciting. Third down. 7. 13:40 left in the first half. Cowboys leading the Bears 3-0. Here comes that Cowboy blitz, and Evans has no hope. Charlie Waters was the first man there again.
Charlie Waters, again, is probably going to end up the leading sack man on this Cowboy defense. He's really something. You know what happens? They start to worry about the inside guys like Dutton, like White. You see, they double Randy White and did what? They didn't block Charlie Waters. Look at Too Tall. He's in there. He got 3 or 4 guys on his arm. Charlie says this is fun when you run through there and no one blocks you.
Ravetto is the Bear field goal kicker. Avellini the holder. This is 44 yards out. And that should get it. And done. And we have a tie football game. The Chicago Bears 3, Dallas 3, and 13:05 left to play at Texas Stadium in the second quarter. Conference over on the Bear sideline. Dick Stanfill. There is on the opposite side of the field Charlie Waters. With oxygen.
Oxygen. That's what happens when you play that many years in the National Football League.
Ravetto. James Jones from his 2. Jones cuts back inside to about the 24. Cowboys take over. Moorhead, the Bear down to make the stop.
You know, Ravetto and Rafael Septien, both the kickers in this game, went to the same college. That's a college she'll probably go to. It's a good college for kickers. If you want to go to a college, kids, listen, if you want to go to a good college to be a kicker, side style, now listen up here, then Southwest Louisiana has put 2 kickers in this game in the NFL.
But that's only if you want to be a soccer-style kicker.
They want to grow up to be Cowboys.
White will throw on first down. And does to Drew Pearson. And Pearson is rocked by Doug Plank.
I'll tell you, that is the toughest thing in the world for a receiver, what just happened to Drew Pearson there. He has to expose himself, outstretched arms, and you have a safety like Doug Plank coming. Now watch this. You see he's led to the outside. He has a step here, but Doug Plank is outside. Now watch him as he stretches. You see that position there that he's in? He's completely exposed. He didn't feel it nor see it coming, and he had no protection at all.
Those two Bear safety men, both are fine tacklers, tough. Plank and Fenton.
Drew Pearson is tough, too.
He sure is.
Watch this. Watch this. You see, he didn't feel it or see it coming. He wasn't in a position to tense to protect himself. One thing, he had that right arm down, so he didn't take that shot in the ribs.
Took it more on the shoulder.
Right.
Had a big day last week.
What did he tell you yesterday about the coffee?
Said Tom Landry got tired of the fact that he utilized him in that big day last week. Got tired of drinking that black coffee and decided to put some cream in it. Woods Johnson has replaced Pearson now. Five down linemen for the Bears. Don Springs, the ball carrier. He doesn't make it back to the line of scrimmage as the rookie Singletary from Baylor has had an outstanding first half.
I'll tell you, he got a quick read on that one. He was right up there. Now, look at him. He's excited. He's a typical middle linebacker. He likes to get up there tight, key that run, get in there and make something happen. He did on that play. He got an awfully quick read where he was going.
So it'll be 3rd and 10 Dallas. 3-3 game. Mike Singletary, rookie linebacker from Baylor. Pearson's back in the game, by the way, and split wide to the left. Cowboys utilizing 3 wide receivers. White intended for Jay Saldi. Looking right back into that bright sunlight. Can't find a handle. Finsick was the Bear defender.
Between those two safeties, Doug Plank and Gary Fensick, there's a flag on the play, too. It looks like it'll be a holding penalty against the Cowboys, but I'll tell you, when they hit, once a receiver catches a ball, they
cover like safeties, but they hit like linebackers.
You remember those two are back there.
Holding.
Jeff Fisher.
Number 64. Refused. 4th down.
Penalty against Rafferty, who will snap the ball back to Danny White now. Fisher back deep for the Bears. White's gotten off a couple of cannon shot punts, too. That one was a bad drop. Bashnagel signals fair catch and makes it. The 43-yard line. So the Bears take over in good shape with the score tied 3-3. 11:51 left to go in the first half. This stadium. Score is Chicago 3, Dallas 3. We have 11:51 left to play in the first half. 44-yard field goal by Rivetto, a 41-yarder by Rafael Septien. And that's been it. Vince Evans, the Bear quarterback, Walter Payton and Suey behind him. Now they go with 2 tight ends. Give it back to Payton. Waters comes up to force. Payton whirls around, gets in Dallas territory.
Waters was right up on the line of scrimmage, and he was blocked very well by Matt Suey on that play. Let's see what happened inside of Waters. Now watch Too Tall there. He's being blocked down upon by Earl. You see, he gets to the outside, but he can't get out where Walter Payton's going, although he forced Payton outside.
Waters finally makes the play. Payton still got 6 yards. They make it 2nd and 4. Suey this time. Hit by Harvey Martin. Right at the line of scrimmage. He might have gotten a yard out of it.
And right there, I think, is what takes more out of Walter Payton than running the ball, is when he has to lead and block for Matsui.
Dorsett, 26 yards, 7 carries. Walter Payton, 91 yards on 13.
I think great backs get highly motivated when they play against each other, don't you? You see that. I know Otis Anderson at St. Louis is definitely that way.
Payton again. And Payton struggles for a first down. Not only is he quick, he is also very strong.
You imagine last week they only gained 24 yards total offense, and Walter Payton almost has 100 in a quarter and a half today.
Bears move into Dallas territory, get the first down. It's at the 43-yard line of Dallas. Watts comes out. Bears again go with 2 tight ends. Mike Cobb and Robin Earl. Payton hit this time after a couple by Bob Brunig, the middle linebacker.
Walter Payton, he doesn't like to have someone grabbing on those legs. Do you see him? It was Randy White down at the bottom of the pile, and he was telling him, stay off my legs. Now watch Randy White here. He starts off in a flex position. You see that stance? He starts off, he's reading to the outside, blocks up the hole to the outside where he can't come outside, and then comes back in and stuffs it in. Now watch at the bottom there. You see what he did? He had Payton's leg there, and that's what Payton was saying. Hey, man, you tackled me, get off me.
Evans goes back to pass, chased by Too Tall Jones, and tripped by Jones. Finally gets rid of it to Payton. Payton gets up to his feet and struggles back almost to the original line of scrimmage. They may say that Evans was in the grasp, although it doesn't look like it now.
No, they may, but they didn't. It looked like he was going to. He was standing there. The referee, Chuck Hibberling, was there. Looked like he was going to say that the ball is down there, but they let him have it. Now let's watch Ed Too Tall Jones here. He's against the rookie #1 draft choice of the Bears, Keith Van Horn, who's not a bad pass protector. See, but he got beat on that one. Now watch right there. See, he said he wasn't down, although his knees looked like they may have been on the ground when he threw the ball.
It sure did look like it. It's 3rd down and about 10. 8.5 minutes left first half. Cowboys again have a lot of folks up on the line of scrimmage. Here comes that blitz again. Evans gets rid of it. Intended for Brooks Williams. Anthony Dickerson was the man who hurried Vince Evans.
It was also Charlie Waters again. He had to throw away from or over Charlie Waters. That defense that we see coming off the field now, when you have to pass and they know you're going to pass, I think they're as tough as anyone in the league.
They put some pressure on you. James Jones goes back deep for Dallas, back at the 10. Bob Parsons. This one off the side of his foot. And out of bounds. Parsons hit 2 dandies earlier, but that one wasn't one of his best. Score is still tied at 3. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving Day. 3-3 in Dallas between the Bears and the Cowboys. Pat Summerall with John Madden. 8:15 left first half. Here is Dorsett looking for some room and not finding much. A couple of yards is all. Mike Singletary again made the initial contact.
You know, and that's the thing that the Bears wanted to do, is try and contain or control Tony Dorsett on the first down so that they could give them their different type defenses on 2nd and 3rd down. And they're doing a good job so far, and that's why the score is 3-3.
Tom Landry, who has gone back to calling the plays himself, shuttling wide receivers with tight ends to get the message to Danny White. Passing down, Springs comes out of the backfield. White chased by Hampton, looking and throwing back across the field for Cosby. Cosby had made an adjustment, but it wasn't the right one. Gary Campbell was the nearest Bear to him.
You know what happened? He was trying to throw the ball to Ron Springs. Someone grabbed Ron Springs on the line of scrimmage. Danny White couldn't throw it to him, so he had to scramble and try and find something downfield.
Cowboys look flat, and the Bears are playing well.
Now here's the defense that we're talking about, where they have the 5 defensive linemen in there, 1 linebacker, and 5 defensive backs. Now number 90 here, Al Harris, sometimes he comes off and covers.
Shift over. It's Page in front of the center. Now it springs in motion. The heat was on White. He's going to take off. Danny White is rocked. He is really popped. The ball is loose. Still loose. And the Bears come up with it. White is down. Danny White was really hit, and he's still down on his back.
It looks like it's his right shoulder. He really was popped.
Doug Plank, by the way, made the recovery for the Bears. Quarterbacks like White, not used to getting hit like that. I don't know who he is.
No, they're not, and you usually try and, not have them run, or if they do run, get to the outside. Danny White couldn't do that. Now watch, he sees he has the hole up the middle. He has to run and or escape up the middle. Now he has a little outside there. He stumbled there. See, he couldn't get to the sidelines. He's looking at the sidelines. Now look at that shot that he takes. It's not the first one. It's not the one from Al Harris. It was the second shot that he took on his right shoulder. That was by Doug Plank, it looks like. See if we can see it here. Again, now it's not, see, he gets hit Harris here, but watch right there on his right shoulder by Doug Plank coming in. No, that's Gary Fensick. Excuse me.
Right.
The other safety. Doug Plank got the ball.
Right.
But that was right on the shoulder.
The backup quarterback for the Cowboys, the first one would be Glenn Carano, and the other Gary Hogaboom. Tom Landry shows some concern with reason.
All over America.
Dr. Marvin Knight working on Danny White over on the Dallas sideline. He really took a vicious hit.
Looks like he's reaching up underneath the shoulder pads to check that right shoulder, and we'll see what happens. See, the first hit wasn't there. It was the second one by Gary Fensick that caught his right shoulder. Watch it right here. Now we see Al Harris there. Now watch right there, right on the shoulder. And that was the one that got Danny White, and that's what they're checking now.
And that, of course, is his throwing arm or shoulder. First down, Chicago. Dallas 41. Walter Payton and Suey. Evans going right to work. Evans rifles down the sideline. Pass complete to Ricky Watts. He is hit by Dennis Thurman, and Watts is down. Ricky Watts rocked by Dennis Thurman.
I tell you, the hitting in this game has really been ferocious this first half. These receivers, every time they're taking it. We see Ricky Watts get it right here. Now watch, he's up in the air again. No protection. He gets that one right from behind and then has to hit the ground. And I think they ruled that incomplete. That wasn't a completion. So bring that back. It'll be 2nd and 10. We saw that happen to Ricky Watts.
Incomplete. There was no possession when the receiver hit the ground. 2nd down.
Exactly right, John. Watts is up now, and he got up. I started to say he got up steadily, but he didn't, did he?
He's still not steady. I'll tell you, that's one of those things where they get it both ways. They get it in the back when they're up in the air, and then they get another jolt when they hit the ground. This artificial turf is very, very hard. Now watch Watts here. See, he's up in the air. He has possession when he's in the air. See, now he takes that hit. Now watch the impact when he hits the ground there. Oof. See, and he didn't have control when both feet hit the ground.
That was a tough but legal hit. Meantime, they were still working on Danny White over on the Dallas bench.
See, he has those rib pads on, that flak rib protection. But again, it's his shoulder. It's not the ribs.
There is Watts. It'll be 2nd and down. 2nd and 10, rather. They ruled he didn't have possession. Evans again, and here come the Cowboys on that rush. Evans fires down the middle. This one, Mike downs the defender, and Brooks Williams comes down with the football. That one is complete.
Neil Armstrong was telling us that he wanted to get Brooks Williams into the game more, a little more speed, maybe a little better pass receiver than Robin Earl. You can see him. See, he's the tight end on the left here. See, he gets his escape, And then again, there was a big blitz. He had to get rid of the ball. Evans did. But watch those hands. Now that's something, the way Brooks Williams came back and just put those hands out on that ball.
It's first down Chicago at the Dallas 28. All even at 3. Evans back to Payton. Payton cutting back to the middle, still on his feet. Down inside the 25 to about the 23. Charlie Waters made the stop along with Bob Brunick.
That'll give Walter Payton over 100 yards rushing in this first half. He's been something, and now the Bears are into good mixture. They're running, they're passing, and they have this Cowboy defense a little off balance.
Danny White checking that shoulder out, trying to loosen it up over on the sideline. 2 tight ends for the Bears now. Earl on the right. Nice Cobb on the left. The pitch is back to Payton again. Walter Payton down near the 20 and struggling for more yards.
I'm sure that Walter Payton has been more than half of this Bear offense today. I'm sure he's carried the ball more than half the time.
That was his 17th carry. He has 108 yards, and he's been the whole rushing offense. Suey's carried the ball twice.
You know, Pat, there's a report up on the scoreboard there that says that Danny White has bruised ribs. It looked like his shoulder, but on the scoreboard it said that he has bruised ribs.
3rd and 2. Here's Payton again. Dutton back there to hit him first, and the rest of the Cowboys arrive on the scene in time to knock him backwards. And the Bears will try for the field goal. Randy White was there to help out quickly.
Now, the report that we have from the sideline on Danny White is he has a bruised chest wall.
Bruised chest wall?
Right, but he was throwing the ball, so he looks like he's trying to get it loose or keep it loose.
Bob Avellini. Rivetto from 40 yards out. He's already hit one from 44. Avellini holding. Rivetto pulls this one, and it's wide to the left, no good. And so the score remains Dallas 3 and Chicago 3. 4 minutes, 9 seconds left to play in the first half at Texas Stadium. 4:09 left first half, score tied at 3. And Glenn Carano is the Dallas quarterback. Double tight end set up for the Cowboys. Carano gives to Dorsett straight ahead, stopped by Doug Plank. Carano, the backup Dallas quarterback, is from Nevada, Las Vegas. 6'3", 200 pounds, and they think he has a fine future. Been around 5 years as a backup.
Sometimes he doesn't have a bad present. Remember, we saw him in preseason, and this Cowboy team won't go down an awful lot with Glenn Carano in there.
Lone setback. There's Carano throwing behind Jay Salvi, almost picked off by Gary Fensick, but incomplete.
I'll tell you one thing, this Chicago Bear defense is really active. They're just swarming the ball. The line is rushing. The linebackers are filling holes. The secondary is all over the field. You know, this will be a little tough thing for Glenn Carano with the short week. I'm sure that he didn't get as much practice as Danny White did, and look what Alan Page did to him on that last play. He welcomed him to this game.
Right up in the face.
It's been that kind of day.
3rd down and 8. 3:27 left to play first half. Carano from the shotgun, and here come the Bear blitzers. Pass intended for Hill, incomplete. Todd Bell was the Bear that came closest to Carano.
I'll tell you, they didn't block Todd Bell. They were in that 5 defensive linemen. They have the safety up in there. Todd Bell came through. Carano didn't have a chance. He just had to throw this one, get it away. He almost had it right there. But again, that's pretty good defense there. When the ball's in the air, the defender, Reuben Henderson, has as much right to the ball as Tony Hill did.
Danny White is punting. released. He's back in punt formation. Bad ribs, bad chest wall and all. Just off to the side, and now it takes a Cowboy bounce and a honey. Goes all the way down to the Bear. Well, is it ever going to stop? All the way down to the 15, and a penalty marker goes down. A little scuffle.
There's a fight out there.
Anthony Dickerson, one of the Cowboys in the middle of things. Penalty flag went down.
Anthony Dickerson's one of the leaders on that Cowboys special teams. Now, that was one of those punts that turned over. Ooh, Danny White had a great punt and a great roll, but they're going to tack 15 yards back on it against the Cowboys and for the Bears.
Unnecessary roughness, number 55, after the play, first down.
55 is Danny Spradlin. Let's see if we can find out where it happened.
We'll see him. He's right down here at the bottom of the picture. You see he gets blocked there. In fact, he goes down. He must not have liked that. And let's see what he does. He has to do something now. Hasn't done anything yet.
Evans outside Watts. Watts, the ball comes loose. Mike Benz gets it for Dallas at the Bear 40.
These Cowboy fans on Thanksgiving Day come alive, and it's just a matter of time because, again, who leads the league in turnovers? It's these Cowboys, and you know they're going to make something happen.
Up until now, it's been a very quiet first half in terms of the crowd. And a lot of hard hitting. Verano is still the quarterback.
You know, it's really been a quiet Dallas offense. It hasn't been a quiet Dallas defense. Both of these defenses have been very crisp and sharp and hard hitting. The offenses, especially the Dallas offense, really hasn't gotten in gear.
Verano has Dorsett now moving back with Ron Springs. Verano will throw on first down if he has time, and does. And throws low, intended for Drew Pearson, who took it on one hop.
Verano's trying to get loose there. You know, that again, you don't have that relaxation, that freedom of movement in your arm when you come off the bench. And he really doesn't want to throw on those second and third downs because he's getting that ferocious blitz from the Bear defense. So they opted to try a first down pass.
Time remaining first half, 2:52. Bears not showing blitz this time. Second and 10. Handoff Dorsett. Dorsett very nearly gets down to a first down. Tackled by Gary Finsick, and Dorsett is rather slow getting up.
Some good blocking off that right side by the right guard, Kurt Peterson, and the right tackle, Jim Cooper. Probably the most two underrated players on this team.
Peterson looks like a guard, doesn't he?
He looks like one. He fills out that jersey and that uniform pretty good. We were checking him out yesterday in the locker room. He's a man.
Third down 2. Dorsett swings back deep. 3 tight ends for Dallas this time. Salvi was the man in motion. Busted play. Verano struggling to try to get a first down. He's about a yard shy, looks like, as Al Harris leads the Bear defense and throws him backwards. That'll be the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes to play first half. The score still Chicago 3 and Dallas 3. Raphael Septien, number 1, mouthpiece and all, will try from 50 yards out.
You know, that mouthpiece, again, is not really to protect his teeth as much as to straighten his jaw, which relaxes him.
Keeps him from hooking it, I guess.
He hasn't done that yet this year. That, you know, he's right on 50 here, and he's 0 for 0. This will be the first one this year that he's attempted from 50 yards or more.
But he's having a great year. Already has 23 field goals this year, a new club record. Charlie Waters holding. High snap, stepped in, will not get it there. Just underneath the crossbar, and no good. The high snap fielded by Waters. That may have thrown him off just a bit.
You know, we were talking about before the Dallas Cowboy offense being flat. You know, they haven't had a first down in the second quarter.
That is the wild card position, the situation at the moment. Detroit's record after their victory over Kansas City today is 7-6. Tampa Bay you saw following them, and Tampa Bay at New Orleans next week. All that begins with the NFL today. Atlanta at Houston, Giants San Francisco, Tampa Bay at New Orleans. All three of those games with possibilities for changes for wild card positions. Marjoram out wide to the right. Evans fumble. Pulled away from the center a little too quickly. Suey made the recovery.
You know, sometimes the quarterback will get up there. I've seen that happen before. The quarterback forgets the snap count. It's up there and it's on 2. He thinks it's on 1 and pulls out early.
Bears go quickly. Evans has it batted down by Too Tall Jones. He knocked down 2 last week, and he just got another one.
Too Tall was too tall for Vince Evans on that one. Let's see if we can watch him here again. Now we see him. He's in a left-handed stance there. See, 72. He's against the rookie Keith Van Horn. It is a stunt. See, he's taking the inside. He was double-teamed. Matt Suey was there to help, but he gets that right hand up there.
That must look like a mountain coming at